Howdy. Today I'm going to be talking about Fitz and Posner's 3 stages of motor learning and how they apply to learning how to ride a bike and how the motor learning process for all of that. It's something that a lot of us as American kids learned how to do. It wasn't the easiest process ever. It was probably pretty hard, but could have been more or less difficult for some people. Factors that could make that a lot easier or more difficult, depending on the situation, would be core strength, someone's balance, learning when you're older compared to being a little kid. Children have much greater neuroplasticity. That's why they're able to learn languages much better than adults are. So it'll be easier for them to acquire that skill than, say, a fully grown adult would. Heredity could play a very large role in one's ability to acquire that skill. Heredity could affect rate of learning, memory, muscle size, body composition, the placement of fast and slow twitch muscle fibers, flexibility, their gender. All those things play an important part in what they're able to do, how well they're able to learn, how well they're able to acquire those skills. Also, it's important to note that there's no general motor ability that can make someone better as an athlete. There's no general thing that's going to make them better. There's tons of variables that I just mentioned and plenty more that vary far too much for just one specific ability to define all those things. It's just not how it works. Now, the first stage is going to be the cognitive stage. You're going to start with kind of a mental image of riding a bike. You're going to show that the learner, they're going to see what they're going to do. They're going to put their feet on the pedals, they're going to put their hands on the handlebars, and they're going to go. They're going to have those pedals go forward. You're definitely going to start with training wheels. Your practices are going to be very controlled, and the learner is going to be very deliberate with each and every one of their movements of the pedal. They're going to be looking at their feet. They're probably going to be trying to figure out, how do I steer? How do I go forward? It's going to be a very foreign thing to them. They're going to be herky-jerky. They're not going to be able to balance. They're definitely not going to be able to go in a straight line. They're going to be wobbling because they're going to be going very slow. And like I said, they're not going to be looking in front of them. So it's going to be very difficult for them to avoid obstacles. Their practices are going to be very performance focused. They're going to be getting those little things down, keeping your feet on the pedals, going forward, getting those tiny little things down. And it's going to be in an open street, no cars, hopefully nothing in the way, because you can't add those variables yet. They're not skilled enough. Now, to be a little bit more specific, in the early stage of the cognitive portion, they're going to be very wobbly. They're going to be looking at every single thing that they're doing, making sure they're doing it right. They're going to be falling a lot. Even with the training wheel, they might try and turn and they may lose balance. That wheel might get out from under them and they're just going to fall a lot. The later stage, they won't be falling nearly as much. They're still going to be looking down, kind of making sure that they're doing everything right. But they're definitely balancing. They're going a little bit faster, which the speed is what's going to keep the bike upright typically. They'll be able to go in a much straighter line, and they'll be falling a lot less often. Now, moving on to the associative stage, that mental image that I mentioned before is going to be turning into like some physical results. They're going to be going a straight line, be able to go in a straight line. They can turn corners pretty slowly, but they'll be able to turn. Their pedaling and balancing are probably going to be the portions that are automatic. They're not going to have to think about those things anymore. They're just doing them. The steering, though, making sure they know where to go, like going in the correct direction, is definitely going to be a conscious. The training wheels are probably going to be off, and they can swerve to avoid objects in front of them. They're not going to be able to react super quickly though, but they're going to be able to get out of the way of objects that may be impeding them. Braking, I think, is a pretty large component of this. They're going to learn how to brake, but they're going to figure out that if they brake too hard, they're going to go flying. So they're going to start getting used to that portion, but they're definitely going to learn the hard way of braking too hard. Yeah, like they're much faster, greater speed, but they're going to not be able to control that speed once they get to a certain point. It's going to be very difficult for them to stay in control, stay balanced, because they're just going way too fast, like if they're going downhill or something like that. Now, to kind of clarify things, the early stages, they're going to, like I said, they're going to take the training wheels off. They're going to be balancing on their own, not really wobbling to stay on a straight line. And they can turn, but they're not really going to be doing it super easily. They'll probably have to slow down a lot or maybe even stop. They can evade things, but they're not going to, their reaction isn't going to be too good, and their brakes are going to be really hard. Now, later on in the associative stage, they're going to be able to stay in a straight line super easy, turn without slowing down a ton. They're going to be able to kind of hit those sidewalks going onto a different street, something like that, pretty easily. They'll be able to evade those obstacles well. They won't lose their balance nearly as much, and they won't be falling nearly as much, and they'll probably brake a lot smoother and a lot slower. Now, practice, as I forgot to mention, will be results, and put a connection between the results and the performance. So they may form something like, okay, hey, go X distance, right, with some variables thrown in there, like obstacles or anything like that. Go X distance without falling or without messing up, basically. Now, lastly, we have the autonomous stage. Their focus is going to be very much on refining those little skills, the tiny little micro adjustments for the most part. They're going to be very consistent. They're going to be very much in a straight line. They're hardly barely ever going to fall. They won't be thinking about their motions, the pedaling, or anything like that. They're going to get on that bike and they're just going to kick off and go. They're going to be able to go at high speed. They're going to be able to brake correctly, pretty slowly, and have a lot of control with it. They can maneuver around obstacles with ease, maybe hop over them, anything like that, hop onto a curve. They can look around at their surroundings. They're not just zoned in on looking forward like the previous one. They definitely are able to kind of enjoy what's around them, maybe evaluate, oh, that's coming from a distance rather than just in front of them. They might be able to look behind them, look back, look around, enjoy their surroundings, go on a joyride. And they may be able to take their hands off the handlebars and grab something in their pocket, take a drink of water, and maybe even stand on the pedals while they're going. And their practice that they're going to have is going to be based on their results. They're going to be trying to have a better time for whatever distance they're trying to go. They may be trying to get faster, maybe accelerate, get to their top speed as fast as they can, or improve those particular skills. It's going to be fine-tuning, and they're going to be, a lot of those practices are also going to put them in practical situations to prepare them for maybe something like a mountain biking where you're going downhill and there's a lot of obstacles and they're not in complete control of your speed. To kind of wrap things up, the early stage, to be a little bit more clear, there will be some mistakes, lapse of attention, sweat gets in your eye, that might discombobulate you, you hit an obstacle and then you may fall. Things that are going to be unexpected, that are not normal, are really could really mess someone up in that. But every other portion of it, every skill is going to be pretty refined, and they're going to be able to go pretty fast. But like unexpected things are going to creep their way in and probably mess them up. But the later stage, there's going to be little to no mistakes. Like those obstacles, it's not going to be anything nothing that they've never seen before, basically. They're going to be able to focus on their speed and maintain it. They'll be able to probably, like I said, drink some water while they're doing it. Distractions will not faze them. All right, that's it. Thank you.